What's going on, you gamers? Here we are with another Outriders video, and today I'm going to be showing you probably my favourite build at the moment for the pyromancer, and that is with the Reforged set. So if you want to see what I think is one of the best anomaly builds in the game, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back all you guys and girls. As always, Full Things Gaming, Full Things Xbox, and of course a lot more of the latest and greatest games and a lot more Outriders on the way, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But for today, you're here to see what this fella just here looks a little bit like, kind of like a really scary trick-or-treating costume, but I think it looks amazing. The lava effect is really good. I don't know why, it really does kind of give me that Gears of War theme. Yeah, it is really nice, really good, and I've been trying to get the headpiece for about 5 days, so I'm actually quite happy to complete the set. Now, if you're worried about the fact that I've got volcanic rounds on, don't be, we've not spec'd into firepower. This is a pure anomaly build, but I've made it so that it's viable for running those higher levels, so you should be able to complete the tiers 14s and 15s. I don't know if you'll be able to complete all of the 15s to gold, but I know you can definitely complete a few of them, and it's also really good for doing multiplayer. So if you're jumping in with a team, or if you've got a friend online, this will be a really fun build to play alongside them. Now what I'm going to do, just so that you can see if this is the kind of build that you're after, or this kind of playstyle, I'm going to chuck on a little clip, a little bit of footage to show you exactly what this fella's about. And after that, what I'll do is I'll show you the build and exactly what I've put on him. Right, so hopefully from that you could see that this is quite a fun, fast-paced build to use. You've obviously got a way to get your health back, and twice fold at that, because you've got the anomaly rounds, or the volcanic round should I say, and you've also got the feed the flames. On the right is obviously the thermal bomb, and that is pretty much the bread and butter of this build. And as you saw, we can do it 2 times, 2 different directions a time. You can really make things pop. It is really fun, and at lower levels, I'd say 13s and 14s, everything in the room will just completely clear. Even at 15s, most times pretty much everything clears, except sometimes when you're jumping in with multiplayer, you will need to clear a little bit of their health first at times. But really good, and a really great build to use. Right, so this is what the fella's got on, and the gun that I'm using is really easy to obtain. It's just a purple LMG. The reason I'm using this above anything else at the moment is because of how lenient it is. It just means that you've got 150 clip size. You can basically put the, how can I put it, you can put the feed the flames to whatever kind of cooldown you want, and you're pretty much okay. So this I find is best in slot, and it gives you a bit of kind of flexibility. Now on it I've put Shadow Comet, and death chains. Shadow Comet, in my opinion, is one of the best mods in the game, especially for group clear and just overall damage. Death chains is a really stable tier 2 one, always good to have that on. If you didn't want that, you could have something like the lightning or just anything that's going to do damage, and it will still work really well in this build. Now, not going to lie, I've put this on because I like how it looks on his back. Pretty much. Look. Yeah, that's where it stays. You will not be moving off of your first gun unless you kind of completely botch it up and miss a reload and just fancy trying these out. Handgun, same again. I pretty much have not used handguns in this game. As such, I did early game, but after that, not too much. Now, just over here, and we've got the Cowl of the Reforged. Now, obviously, I'm putting these on for the kind of 3-piece set as such, but it is a bit of a pain because if it didn't have max health, that would really help me if it had a bit more anomaly damage or even firepower. But it is where it is. We've just kind of got to take the knocks as such. And the reason we've got this is because it's got double fun and big boom on it. Now, double fun is absolutely amazing. Thermal bomb, the skill can affect 2 targets. Like you probably saw in the footage, when you press down on your skill, it will go off in 2 different directions most times. As long as the enemies are there, it will locate them, and then once you kill them, they will both set off an explosion, which does a little area effect. Really good. It can absolutely do some devastating potential damage. And just underneath that is big bomb. Thermal bomb increases explosion radius by 20%. Now, I tried taking this out and putting a few other things on one of my other things, and it doesn't work. You want this on your build, trust me, it just works in your favour. Definitely take that mod. And just over here, and we've got the Armour of the Reforged. Now, this one comes with a tier 3 called Branded. And if you've seen my other video, you'll know that this is definitely worth picking up. It is very possibly one of the strongest mods in the game currently, and I just think it makes this build absolutely devastating. It really is quite a sight to behold, and if you're playing with people and communicating, you can absolutely destroy bosses ridiculously fast. Now, this is Thermal Bomb. Enemies affected by the skill receive 40% more damage. However, what I've worked at, and I must admit I haven't, where I've only had the headgear really kind of like yesterday as such, I haven't had a chance to work this out properly, but I know definitely it stacks up to twice. So you'll get 40% plus 40% extra damage if you hit both of them on a boss. I haven't tried it yet to see if you can kind of get all 4 of them, so where it's supposed to go off twice, I haven't seen if it can do it 4 times, which would be 160. If it can, that would be kind of insane, I want to say, but at the moment, as far as I know, I think it's probably just 80% extra damage on one single target, or it spreads off into 2 and gets 40 on everything. Now, just down the bottom here, and we've got Fire Frenzy. Thermal Bomb, the skill can be activated one more time before triggering the cooldown. It might be a tier 1 mod, but you want that on this. You want that to be able to make sure that you can do it twice, and it goes off in 2 different directions, affecting 4 targets. Now, this one here is Waistcloth of the Reforged, and it comes with anomaly power, long range damage, and cooldown reduction. The main thing you're after out of all of them is anomaly power and cooldown reduction, so it having that is just great. And its tier 3 is Flame Grasper. Feed the Flames enables absorption of 2 additional targets. Now, that might not sound amazing as we're not kind of basing our whole build around that, but it helps so much because what it does gives you a little bit of extra damage, and it also makes sure that you are kind of topped up with health, and also other than that you're always topped up with ammo to make sure that your volcanic rounds are always active, which in itself makes it much easier to get golds, silvers, do higher tiers, and just absolutely smash through the enemies. Without volcanic rounds at the moment, most kind of classes will actually really struggle to get through those times. And just underneath that is Bullet Kindling. Deals 20% more damage against enemies afflicted by burn. No need to tell you why that's good. You're shooting at volcanic rounds the whole time. Every time you're going to be kind of hitting something, every time you're going to be doing skills, they're going to be getting that extra damage applied to them. Really worth having. Just down here, and I've got 2 purple ones at the bottom ones so that I can get the added anomaly power. So this one is a true blast. Thermal bomb increases explosion damage by 42,634. Now that one I really like. If, for example, you thought you were popping everything with way too high damage and you weren't too fussed, you could swap that out, especially at lower tier levels. The higher you go up, I'd probably keep that on. Bullet absorption. This one is a must no matter what. Do not take this off or you will completely botch your build. Feed the flames. Replenishes 33% of ammo in your magazine for every enemy affected by the skill. This just basically means, like I said, when you're clicking that button to get your health back or to just kind of damage an enemy and afflict ash, you're going to also get 33% of ammo, but you've also got the other mod, so you're going to get that 3 times over, meaning you're pretty much topped up. Just down the bottom here, and again, like I said, it's got anomaly, it's got cooldown, it's perfect for in slot. What I've put on it is emergency stance, which basically means you get a golem protective effect for 4 seconds whenever your health drops below 30%. For me, I must admit, this is pretty much an uh-oh moment. In tier 15s, you can very easily get trapped in a corner, you can get stuck in ads, your game can pause, crash, do whatever it wants. Well, crashing wouldn't help, but yeah, things definitely happen in Outriders at the moment, and I try and put a bit of survivability in my builds because honestly things just kind of happen sometimes that you think wouldn't. And Captain Hunter increases your damage against elites by 25%. That is massive. It makes all the elites kind of feasible. You can really do some damage with them, especially when you're tag teaming that with the actual thermal bomb and getting the 80% extra damage. Right, so these are the skills we'll be using, and that's Feed the Flames, which, no need to tell you why you want this. It's going to keep your volcanic rounds up at all times. You're going to make sure you're tapping that before you need to reload. You're going to get all your health back. You're going to inflict ash. Just an all-around great skill, and it will be on most builds at the moment. Just over here, volcanic rounds applies kind of like a, how can I put it, it pretty much burns everything in its path as it passes through people. It gives you a lot of extra damage. It can be up constantly. It's just one of the best moves for pyromancer and pretty much everyone in the game currently, and it also negates armor, so just really good, and a skill, if you can make it work, try to put it in your build. Just over here, and we've got thermal bomb. This one is pretty much the bread and butter of the build for your kind of AoE explosions. So if you're focusing on a boss, this is the one. When you're in trouble, this is the one. And when you want a boomstick to kind of blow away all of the ads, this is the one you're going for. And as you can see, we've boosted it up quite a lot, and our one, it says it explodes, dealing 249,000 damage. It actually does quite a bit more than that, 9 out of 10 times, so don't worry about that. But honestly, all of these skills go hand in hand, and they're really good. Right, so moving on to the skill tree. And what I've done, I've kind of given myself a little bit of damage about my guns. Not much at all, to be perfectly honest. We're relying more on our anomaly damage. But those volcanic rounds do kick in, and they do help to take down the bosses. So what I've done is I've gone just up this way, gave myself 8% extra weapon damage, reduced a little bit of the Feed the Flames so that you can get your health back more often, and of course get back your ammo for your volcanic rounds. Just up here, a little bit more damage for your weapon, 10%. Just over here is increase your armor piercing by 10%. Now that, I don't actually know if that does much to your volcanic rounds. I don't think it applies much, so it may just be if you miss a reload or something along that lines, but we need to get to the next bit anyway. So increase your weapon damage by 10% against marked enemies. And finally, the reason I was going up here more than anything is because activating your immobilize skills increases your anomaly power by 45% for 10 seconds. Now that is actually massive. It's kind of the biggest buff we've got in this skill tree, and along with the bottom tree, it goes really well, goes proper hand in hand. So down to the bottom, and we've got just down here anomaly power by 6% increase, 8% to mark targets. Just down here we've got 6% anomaly power again, and another 8% increase against marked targets. It just means we're going to be doing a lot of damage to people that are marked, and pretty much everyone's going to be marked because we're going to be shooting constantly with our volcanic rounds. Just over here, and we've got increase your anomaly power by 6%, increase weapon damage and anomaly power by 5%, increase your anomaly power by 6%, Here is your personal choice. I give myself a little bit of resistance just in case I'm going to get absolutely smashed by a big baddie as such, or I'm in their kind of AoE or anything such as that. But if you feel like you want to get this, you very well could for a bit of skill leech. Just over here, and I've got increased anomaly power by 6%. This one is down to personal preference. If you are really good, you have no issues with your game, you could very well take this off because you do have a bit of survivability in your mods as such, so you may not need this depending on how your game plays and depending on how skillful you are in the actual game. But I definitely put this on because mine pauses randomly at the moment very often, and sometimes I'm just finding myself dead, and this really helps to kind of complete the higher levels. Just over here we've got conflagration, increases your resistance piercing by 15%. Really nice. It's hard to get both of these, to be perfectly honest, so having one of them is really good. Just over here, increased damage against elites by 10%. No need to tell you why that's good. Damage against elites is always a must to take. And over here, increase your skill damage by 8% against marked enemies. So now you've picked up all of those, meaning that they are going to take such a beating when you kind of do your skills, when you get those big explosions, and when you're hitting them with your volcanic rounds, which you're doing at all times. And finally, increase explosive skill base by 30%. It just means you're going to be doing such big numbers. It's really fun to watch, and honestly, when you group up an absolute bundle of ads, there's nothing more satisfying than watching them all completely explode after you've kind of used that double fun. But yeah, what you can do in this as well, if you feel like you're lacking a bit of firepower, so say for example you're not quite running golds on tier 15 certain ones, or you're jumping in with people and you're feeling a little bit lackluster, just change it around to your liking. If you want to do a little bit less damage with your bombs, but you want to do a bit more firepower, you could chuck it into these two just down here, which will give you an abundance of firepower, or your weapon damage up here, or just go along this skill tree and get a bit more firepower that way. Firepower at the moment is the most sought after thing. There's no point beating around the bush. Everyone kind of does that if they want to clear things to a really good standard, but I must admit I find this really satisfying playing this anomaly build, and I really enjoy how its playstyle works. Right, all you guys and girls, I am sure that I have taken up enough of your time. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you liked the footage and it looks like something you might play. Like I said, I haven't played this quite enough to know how feasible it is for all of the tier 15 golds as such, but you'll definitely be getting silvers on them, and you'll be able to get gold on some of them, as I've already got gold on 2, so I think you should be fine. If you're struggling, do some with your friends, jump in online, or just probably spec a little bit into that firepower and take a bit away from the actual thermal bomb. But for me, this is probably one of the most fun builds that I've played, and I really like the fact that it's an anomaly rather than a pure firepower build, so I think it's a really good choice and a really good fun build. As always, all you gamers, I'll be bringing out a lot more builds, a lot more guides, and a lot more fun tips. But as always, take care. I'll see you on the next day.